You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Good evening, this is Force 13 Live. Hello, my name's Nathan Foy. How are you this evening? And we are tracking Tropical Depression Harvey, which has reformed in the Bay of Campeche in the Gulf of Mexico, moving off towards the northwest, or it will do soon. Presently, it's stationary, but with hurricane watches in effect for the coast of Texas, along with storm surge watches as well, and tropical storm watches too. There's plenty to talk about in this and ensuing hours. I'm joined, as always, by the Skype team, consisting this hour of Orlando, Isaac, and Craig. In a minute, I'll be able to fade them up so you can hear them. Hello. They're there somewhere. Hi.
Hi.
Maybe we should start talking to Isaac, which is the first one who piped up there. And because you're the closest, you're going to be the closest to this storm. What are your thoughts on what you're witnessing so far on the regeneration of Harvey and its future?
Well, obviously I'm concerned right now because I have family up to the north of me that could get hit worse than I do if this thing decides to go more north. So I'm watching it carefully. Obviously right now I'm under a hurricane watch right now, so I'm preparing and putting everything that can go flying outside, or putting it inside, or hunkering it down, tying it down so it doesn't fly around, and that's what I'm doing right now. Harvey itself, right now it's stationary, obviously, and I'm pretty concerned right now because if it keeps that stationary movement, it could easily try to it'll have more time to develop, which would be really bad, which means it could have the chance of getting stronger. That's only if it keeps its stationary movement. If it doesn't and starts moving again in the next update, still though, it could still be pretty bad, and I'm just watching it really carefully right now, and that's really all I could do right now is just watch it carefully and prepare.
Craig, joining us over there from Scotland, not very far from Texas, just about as far as me.
Not far at all. Not far at all.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I am near enough on the same boat as Isaac, but you know, I am getting really concerned about Harvey. And seeing as how he is now stationary and over very warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico, shears is decreasing over it, so Harvey could really do anything from here on out. I'm just hoping that the people that are on the Gulf Coast of Texas monitor Harvey very, very closely, regardless if this storm becomes a hurricane or not. Rainfall is going to be a major issue. If Hank was here, he'd really go full detail of what the problems really are. I know that his area has been dry near enough all summer, so that's going to be one major issue if Harvey is a massive rain producer, which, you know, it could easily end up being. So.
And we're able to see it now on the screen, the National Hurricane Center's forecast track, and you can see the areas under the watches as well, and their new storm surge watches they've been putting out as well. It's I think new to this year, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Because they've been doing that with their PTCs and and all that.
And you can see just about the area that's under a hurricane watch. It's a large area, but despite that, the National Hurricane Center don't think it will become a hurricane yet.
Yeah, early days. This, as I was thinking, this Harvey could easily become a hurricane. But as I said, regardless of that, rain is going to be a major issue because it's going to cause major flooding, possibly. So.
And that's what we're going to be looking at. Here's a rain chart also from the National Hurricane Center and what rainfall is expected in the next 5 days. You can see along the coastal areas there around 15 inches or more. Isaac, looking at I think sort of the Galveston area there under the 15 inches. What sort of effects would that cause given the current conditions? Any idea?
Well, I know that it'll definitely cause really bad flooding over there. I know they had bad flooding over there back in 2015 from, I don't think it was a tropical event, I don't believe, but they got, I think 15 inches, I think, over there, or 12, some high number like that over there in 2015. So since this thing has the potential of kind of meandering around Texas, it could easily become a really bad flooding event for them. And that's what people need to realize, is that it doesn't matter how strong the storm is. Like, let's look at storms like Alice in 2001. That was only a tropical storm, and it caused a whole bunch of flooding, and it got retired and caused $5 billion in damages because of its flooding alone. So what people need to take into account is not just the winds, but also the rain. The rain is also pretty much the main concern right now that they need to be watching, and it could cause this storm has the potential of causing really, really bad flooding. I hate to say it, but really, really bad flooding. And people just need to be on guard for it.
And we're looking outside at your place right now. What can you tell us about your current conditions over in Corpus Christi?
Really hot, like it always is over here. Winds sustained at around maybe 5 miles per hour, gusting occasionally to maybe a odd 15 mile an hour gust. So it's not too bad over here. Partly cloudy, fairly sunny day right now, but it's supposed to deteriorate on Thursday night for me, or tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's coming up soon. And Harvey's a pretty broad system as well, isn't it? I mean, you can see off towards the north, there it is, significant amounts of cloud coverage over the sort of the rest of the Gulf of Mexico, and you get the impression it's going to be one of those, isn't it? That's going to be a real rainmaker. Orlando, do you have any thoughts on this? And long term, it could perhaps track towards you as well.
Well,
he's gone, right?
No, he's here.
No, I'm here.
Oh, he is.
Me personally, I think it has the possibility to become maybe a minimum Category 1 hurricane, but at the moment, it's just basically meandering around in the Bay of Campeche. But once it starts getting itself going, it's really going to become quite nasty for Texas, especially, most importantly, the flooding, as mentioned earlier, because it's usually not the winds that cause the most damage. It's usually the storm surge and flooding that usually causes the most devastation from these types of systems.
Yep. Whose phone is that? Shall we read off what the warnings, the watches and warnings are right now? Does anyone have them, or shall I find them?
I don't have them on hand right now.
You can see them visually there. I just want to read out the actual areas. So first of all, a storm surge watch, which I don't think is depicted on that chart, is for Port Mansfield to High Island. A hurricane watch for north of Port Mansfield to San Luis Pass. Tropical storm watch in effect for Boca de Catar, Mexico to Port Mansfield, Texas, and north of San Luis Pass to High Island. A storm surge watch means there's a possibility of life-threatening inundation from rising water moving inland from the coastline in the indicated locations during the next 48 hours. And the National Weather Service has their own storm surge graphics as well. I don't know if anyone wants to bring them up in a few moments. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area, typically issued 48 hours ahead of time. So that's pretty much the countdown clock there, coming down from 48 hours. A tropical storm watch means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area also within 48 hours. And you look at the chart there, you can see that that is pretty much the time scale we're looking at for potential hurricane force conditions if it becomes a hurricane to reach the coast in around 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's honestly really concerning, for especially the shoreline. It's most likely going to affect business, and since it's still summer, it might affect the economy as well for those areas after the storm passes. So it's going to be pretty nasty overall, not just inland, but also the coast.
If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, start your message with Force 13 all in text, and it will light up nicely for me. And we'll be here to answer your questions over time. And I'm not sure how long we'll be present this evening. It depends how things go, but we thought it was right to do an update right now, and more will be coming on. More updates will be coming on, and maybe people as well, later in the evening. So, does anyone have any comments at this point on Harvey? His appearance at the moment?
Well, it's currently getting better organized. It's starting to get more cloud cover around the area where it's at right now. And I believe, like I think Craig mentioned this earlier, I think Sierra is also starting to decrease over in the area where it's at, which is not really too good. And then, like I said earlier, it's stationary right now, and if it were to stay stationary for the next few advisories, it could have a chance of getting stronger than we might have expected, which is a possibility. But after this advisory, if it keeps on going and moving northwest, it could still become maybe a Category 1 hurricane, just maybe not as strong as say if it were to be stationary like it is right now for a little bit longer period of time. And like I said, like me and Orlando said, wind is not really the main issue with the storm. It's mainly just the rainfall of this, because like I said, it's models are basically wanting it to stall or meander around the Texas area and bring portions of Texas plenty of rain. They got 16 inches I saw in a few graphics, and I don't know if we could flood. I just want people to realize that, because flooding is really bad.
Signal struggling a little bit there. We're looking at the wind shear chart right now. I'm guessing that's courtesy of Craig. And you can see that the wind shear is somewhat low around the storm right now, and is very low along the coast of Texas.
That's actually starting to worry me quite considerably. This storm could now do whatever it feels, because theoretically, this forecast track, I think that takes it about, say, up here somewhere around about that. This year can change, can literally increase, spread, or continue retreating and subsiding. I just don't know what Harvey could end up doing, but to be honest, as I've been reiterating.
Well, we've got some questions. Let's get on to some questions. I've not seen all of the early ones, but I'll try my best here. What happens if it just stays where it is and not move north? Would it change track? Well, by definition, it probably would.
Die.
It would either die,
and it'd also leave the door.
Go west.
It'd also leave out the possibility of it to strengthen more than expected too, if it decides to do that.
But then, well, it would then become a problem.
I'm looking at the model runs now. I've got to tell you though, there isn't a single model anymore that doesn't predict a Texas landfall.
It's pretty much certain at this time that the storm will make a landfall pretty much somewhere in Texas at this point. And mostly it seems to be around, I think the last time I checked, it seemed to be around like Port O'Connor, Texas, around there is where most of the models are wanting it to make landfall, just north of me. So, we haven't checked in a while, so it could have changed.
Yeah, more
Could've gone more
questions.
north.
What are we predicting Harvey's landfall to be? Well, that's way out right now, but well, it's got 2 days to intensify. Any thoughts?
Well, in those two, yeah, I agree. If it develops fast enough and organizes, if it organizes well enough, it could easily try to become a Category 1 before landfall. That's also a concerning thing, that it could easily do that if it decides to intensify quickly, or how big its size is and structure.
We're joined by David and Lee. Hello.
Yep.
Good to be here on the east coast of Australia. Hi to the viewers, and it's 4:15 in the morning, and looks like we've got, what is it, Tropical Depression Harvey with us, Nathan.
Yes, that's the whole point of the event, indeed.
I got that to you.
Yeah, well, I was taken by surprise. I switched on, and here you are, full steam ahead, providing the coverage. And well, what does one say about Harvey? I've been, my position was previously that it would track towards the north, and now it's in the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of Campeche.
Bay of Campeche.
Technically both.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had a look at his floaters yesterday, and I was particularly interested in sea surface temperature, anywhere up to, what, 31, 32 Celsius?
Very warm, yes.
View of the team?
30 plus, which is certainly warm enough. We want to go through some more questions though first. For instance, will Harvey become a hurricane or have near hurricane strength? Well, the National Hurricane Center thinks so, at around 70 miles per hour, they say.
Depending on, obviously, early days yet of it just being reborn. So, depending on how fast this thing decides to go through the years. I think 70 miles an hour is reasonable for the first reinitiation of forecast advisories for Harvey at this present time, depending on how it approaches the next it comes out on 21 Z.
Okay. And also, apparently this is a question, how did Halo form an iron land? Well, it's not quite Halo.
Hato?
Or Hato, or whichever way people pronounce that. We haven't discussed that yet, so who wants to talk about that for a little moment?
I have no idea how Hato has formed an eye, or has cleared out its eye again, well over the land. This thing made landfall as a Category 2, but I know a statement from the JDWC said that they were upping the intensity at landfall to Cat 3 for some weird reason.
Odd.
Miles an hour. I don't think it was any close to Category 3. I think 100 miles an hour was fair. If it got the eye out sooner, then you might have been looking at it stronger, but it didn't. So Category 3 was around sitting for landfall. But I know that there was 3 fatalities in Macau, which was really nice seeing people haven't made it through Hato, But I find it weird how Hato has formed an eye well over land, because I was expecting Hato just to be falling apart. It's doing neither of the things. Which is quite astonishing.
And go on.
Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, sorry. Go on, Craig.
That's okay. Yeah, but I've seen some invest, say North Indian or something like that. They have become something called a landfoon.
Oh
I don't know
dear.
how exactly they form, but I won't go into further detail. But it's when the invest forms a circulation over water and moves on land and actually strengthens rather than dies out. But I'm not going to go into full details about how a landfall forms. I don't really fully understand how they form, so there's no point.
More questions. What do you predict 92L to do?
I knew it was gonna happen.
You knew it was going to come up.
Yeah, I knew it was. Pretty much models are not too. Last time I checked, the models weren't too crazy about it. They may have changed because I've been quite busy, so I haven't really been able to check the models. But it shouldn't. Last time I checked, they didn't really have it doing much. Just giving Florida some rainfall, some scattered showers, or maybe some gusty winds too, and obviously maybe increased drip currents from it too. That's really all I know about it right now. If Craig has any more or Landau has any more, they could go ahead and share, or David or anything.
Well, that's something you can research in the background for a few moments. Let's see. I assume we'll have something else by now. Just a few comments more than anything. No actual questions for us, but thanks very much for the interaction. It's very interesting to see what everyone's thoughts are. And yeah, that's about it. Now, what's the model spread like for Harvey? Not so much in track, because we sort of have an idea, but intensity.
Oh, intensity-wise,
what I've seen this morning, HWRF had weak Cat 1 hurricane making landfall. HMON had a tropical storm. GFS had a tropical storm. NAFM, I think, had borderline hurricane. ECMWF had tropical storm. I haven't seen much else other than that. I'm just looking at GFS to see if anything's changed. I think they may be upping the ante, because the last image I just seen there of 12Z comes out 72 hours saying 989 millibar landfall in Texas. So potentially a hurricane from GFS, but the one's really, I can't really tell because it's a far out one. So it looks to be maybe tropical winds, but the pressure saying 983 or so.
And the models, look at the model intensity guidance here, and pretty much all of them have it at least becoming a weak tropical storm, it seems. So this stands bound to at least become a weak tropical storm, and I could expect that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just looking at ECMWS 12's new run, I think that going off of their cyclonic vorticity map, they may have upped the ante with Harvey. I don't know by how much, but I'm going to try to do a screenshot for it to try and symbolize. I'll try and show.
We're looking at models.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, that's going to be touch and go. That's going to be a hurricane. That's very touch and go.
You should look at the Texas area so you can see a better look at it. You don't have to squint to see it.
Let's have a look. See if we can get the sound view. No, I can't. Damn it.
No, I can't. Go to regions and go to the Texas area so you can see a better look at it. So you don't have to squint. Maybe.
Squint.
The GFS and CMC latest models, GFS latest run, which is in the process of being updated, has changed from its previous run. Three models are indicating around 970 millibar central pressure on approach to the Texas coast. CMC was indicating probably a tropical storm. So CMC, it's out by itself, but I'm going to say that the various models are in agreement that it will most likely be a Cat 1.
ECMWF has Harvey intensifying a little bit while over land in 96 hours. But do take that with a pinch of salt. But more of these areas here, this could be touch and go hurricane. This could be still touch and go hurricane while it's over land.
Good lord.
That's rather disconcerting now that you're starting to. And now, oh, good grief. So, Eastern WF then has Harvey slamming himself back into reverse and going back over his own landfall site. So there's a rather strong tropical storm, maybe weak hurricane, but going by that, I think that's a tropical storm. So that's not going to be good by a long shot. In fact, not going to be probably going to be the understatement of the day if that does play out. But obviously, it's one model by itself, so I'll need to check GFS and co.
Alright, well, I'll keep reading off the questions here from my makeshift third screen here. Does Harvey have a chance to get trapped due to too high pressures?
I was just thinking about that when Craig mentioned about turning back.
No, that's what the NHC were saying, because the NHC were asking him to go back out. What was it? Go over towards Louisiana. So anything's possible when he goes towards it. GFS 989 at 850 millibar height. That's not surface. Don't really panic because that's only 850 millibar height. That's a strong tropical storm, maybe borderline hurricane.
The NCEP operational Nathan HWRF, they're indicating, or the tracks are indicating a possible U-turn to the left. And
oh yes, I did see that earlier today.
I'm looking at
I somewhat doubt that at the moment, and I wouldn't really speculate about a U-turn until it actually gets there in the first place.
True.
However, the HWRF is sticking with a hurricane landfall. What is interesting, however, is the HMON model, the new one that used to be the GFDL, is no longer saying a hurricane. It used to. It said Cat 2 yesterday, I believe, and now it's saying barely a medium moderate tropical storm, I believe. Might have changed since then, but it's
was it, Nathan?
the HMON model that appears to have really backed down on that.
Well, that's been some of the cases with some of the models. They have been up and down in intensity. But I think as it goes across the Gulf, I think we should start seeing more of a general consensus of strength, or along the lines of what strength Harvey could end up being. But going by this, I am rather concerned that GFS could be saying borderline hurricane, at landfall, ECMWF could be saying hurricane, NavGem, I need to check that, but that's two models that could be saying hurricane, possible hurricane landfall in Texas. But anything's possible at this stage. Literally anything is possible. But that is the general model. Well, from what I've seen so far, the GFS, that's what the models are saying. Some of the two models are saying NavGem 994. That's a very broad system that they've got. It's not really huge, but it's about the size of what Harvey is right now. So 992 millibar at landfall or just over land, possibly, and that possibly a strong tropical storm, maybe low end hurricane. I'll need to check the yeah, that's just maybe a hurricane. Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, but if that's showing
so.
up, that's probably, say, what, 75 miles per hour, 992 millibars, but that's not surface, so anything's possible, as I've said. So there's 3 models so far saying possible hurricane Harvey at landfall. So pretty much anything is possible at this stage. The reason why I'm not going any further is because this is the main area of focus. How strong is he going to be at Landfall? How strong could he be at Landfall? Because a lot can change. I'm not going to check this.
Now, what do we know about the recon flights?
Recon picked up a closed center fixes, and starting to build some tropical storm force winds off to the eastern side, but remaining rather weak towards the center. But to be honest, if they do send another one, it might be stronger than that. They might start picking up some tropical storm force winds. Maybe they might do another one tonight, but I'll need to see if they will, because I've got the recon page open. Because I was watching their recon from earlier today. That's where they picked up that Harvey does have a closed center, so I guess we'll find out more. HWRF now saying a Category 1 hurricane approaching Texas, possibly stronger than 75 miles per hour, close to 80 miles an hour. Texas landfall. Rather worrying now that's coming up to four models in a row that's coming into near enough a general consensus that Harvey could be a Cat 1 hurricane at Landfall in Texas.
They're being consistent, Craig and Nathan. I'm just looking at the HMON latest run. They're saying 970, possibly 986 landfall.
Well, the run that I've got up here says 969.7 millibars and 59.9 knots, so that would round up to 70 miles an hour. So they're saying 70 mile an hour tropical storm, but possibly high pressure, maybe a strong Cat 1 hurricane. So basically, anything's possible. Intensity could literally be anything. Intensity could be a Category 1 hurricane, tropical storm, anything. So I'm willing to see what Harvey does. I'm sure everyone else is rather nervously waiting to see what Harvey does, whether he strengthens or, depending if he strengthens fast, goes under rapid modification, or goes gradual. I think gradual would be more of a saving grace.
Now, you've been looking at winds there, Craig, and most people are in Texas, in the know at least, are suggesting that winds aren't going to be the issue. Could we take a look at some accumulated rainfall charts here?
Yeah, rainfall would probably be the bigger issue. Let me try and cancel the screen share right now. So if
I believe there's some rainfall accumulation charts there. We'll show you back to the other graphics that we have here, the National Hurricane Center's warning map and their rainfall expectations. You can see, according to the National Hurricane Center, they say that 15 inches plus of rain is expected along the coast, sort of the Galveston area. What other places are near there, Isaac? I'm not familiar with Texas, see?
Huh?
Houston's further inland, but Galveston's on the coast. Where else is on the coast lit nearby there?
Port O'Connor, Texas. I believe Victoria, Texas is also.
So I think both of those will be near the 15-inch area there in the National Hurricane Center's expectations. And then, because they think the storm will turn to the east, you can see how 4 inches plus are being expected as far east as just about into Alabama there.
Yeah.
Nathan,
I'm just reading off that my part. Go ahead, David.
I'm just looking at the GFS model, total precipitation. Quite a bit of yellow, representing up to, 24, 26 inches.
Wow. Could you show us that?
Alright, I'll just have to... Just give me a minute. I'll just got to bring it up on this computer.
Okay. We'll all wait
got
for
it?
a minute.
I'm looking at the tropical tidbits one.
Yeah, tropical tidbits is a really good source to use.
Yep.
In the meantime, there's the view at Force 13 HQ in case you wanted to know. Temperature right now 65 degrees and a pretty sunset by the looks of things shaping up whilst we buy Craig a few seconds. Well, here they are, and we're back with the graphic. So what are we looking at here?
Yes. Yeah, this is the total accumulated precipitation in which is measured in inches, obviously. So this is the GFS's take on everything.
So this is by the 25th and coming to 26th
so here
now.
You see close to landfall, if not landfall, roundabout where the new yellow is starting to show up. You can see how much precipitation just builds up. I mean, look at that. That is a lot of rain that can fall within less than 24 hours. And a lot less than that. I mean, this would be rather high flooding totals. You can see there moving up the central United States. There you see the moisture moving up. That's what's left of Harvey, and obviously, as you'd expect, it goes extratropical by then. But what worries me here is the amount of precipitation that the GFS thing bring and gather. So that's what I'm wanting to watch. I don't know whether anything else, whether ECMWF does it. I doubt they do. No, they don't. Darn it. Right. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to show you that because that's too far out. So the GFS think there could be, well, how would you put it? Near enough 24 inches plus.
Wow. Sounds like it's very windy, by the way, at Isaac's place.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm probably getting gusts to 15 to 20 occasionally right now.
Oh, look at that.
It's not an association. It's not an association with what do you call it? Harvey. It's not an association with Harvey.
But look at that though. Right now, the huge amount of rainfall that arrives in Texas from Harvey, according to that model. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a rather alarming amount of rain to fall. And then, obviously, well, if it doesn't re-emerge off of land, what's the next question? What sort of, severe weather threat would he bring apart from, extreme flooding? You've got the threat of tornadoes, maybe the odd severe thunderstorm that he would cause. But obviously, yes, that's really far out. That is really far out when he starts to, what happens afterwards. So, as I said, I was mainly wanting to focus on what he does when he's going to go up to landfall. How much rain is he going to dump? How strong is he going to be? But the thing that really unnerves me at the minute is that most of the models are saying hurricane at landfall in Texas. So those that are on the coast of Texas, and to be honest, I don't think anyone else here could pretty much stress it enough. I know we'd all would. Please monitor this with extreme caution. Please listen to the National Hurricane Center for watches and warnings that get issued and advisories, because this information is extremely important, especially at this time. Harvey is quite far out from landfall, but to be honest, reiterating, please listen to the National Hurricane Center because they are supplying the information to let everybody know what the storm is likely to do and is currently at.
Yes, and I'm heating the NHC right now, and I'm currently, sorry you hear the noise in the background if there is any. I'm just taking preparations for Harvey just in case it gets a little bit closer to comfort here. I'm just making sure everything's tied down that I have outside, and then anything that could go flying, I have them inside too. So I'm just doing it right now. So yeah, you guys should definitely follow the NHC and whatever they say, do it. I mean, they're trying to save your lives here.
Yeah.
Craig, can you bring up the CMC precipitation? Then after that, go have a look at the ECMWF model run.
Well, we've had a look at.
Well, I guess we can give equal airtime to them all, but
No,
the CMC, oh dear.
The CMC precipitation.
I'm just zeroing that model run, allowing it to load in fully because, for some weird reason, Tropical Tidbits loves to take a little bit of time in loading their frames, but, they gotta take time to load in the information, so. This should be the CMC's take on everything in terms of precipitation. Obviously, here's their supposed take on Harvey's precipitation at the minute, so you can see what his supposed precipitation is in the Gulf is right now. You can see how it really picks up, apparently, according to CMC. A little bit more of a westward jog. Looks like a landfall at the border there.
Yeah, and I have it on the Mexican border.
Ooh, yes.
And it goes right along it. So that's going to be interesting. And I think here they I think they predict 92L to form, but I won't really go into too much of that. Our main focus is Harvey. I know that the NHC did say for 92L subtropical or tropical cyclone development is possible, but it's a low chance of that happening. Harvey is obviously our main concern, but then
could Harvey? Sorry, Craig, but it was just briefly on 92L. I looked at the possible model track. And one model showed it doing a complete circle in the Gulf of Mexico after coming off Florida. And could Harvey absorb some of the energy from 92L?
Before we do that, I just want to go back to that storm surge graphic, Craig, because we've not seen that yet. If you don't mind.
Yes.
Let's get back to it. Hang on. Storm surge, they didn't really have much for it. It wasn't really helpful. That's why I didn't really screen share it, because it didn't show much.
Okay, but there is a storm surge watch in effect.
Yes.
Just so that everyone
there we
is
go.
aware.
There we go. That's correct. That's the better one.
Then I've issued an advice to me.
Now, some of you may remember these graphics when they're experimental during Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah.
Does it show what kind of, how high they're expecting along the coast at all?
No, but that would be a different graphic altogether.
That's
literally. Right. So that would be on storm surge inundation.
I think it's just interesting. I think we ought to take a look at that, just so that everyone's armed with the information here.
Yeah.
And a high tide factor too.
The thing that I can't really understand is that they don't have it in a big area, so I'm pretty sure no one wants to see the note about the graphic. Now, but here's the supposed storm surge inundation. Obviously, not much in what they're expecting so far, but I might need to put the inundation later on. So it's not really much to go on.
Can you possibly zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Looks like minimal 1 to 2 feet.
Let me zoom out a little bit too far. There we go. No happy medium with this because it's basically Google Maps format. But now you can see here how much storm surge the NHC is expecting, or now along in coalition with the service. Not much as of yet.
How often do they update that map? Every 6 hours?
Oh, I'd imagine so.
Yeah.
I guess that would really depend on how close the storm is to land. But here's the key guidance on the storm surge inundation key. One, obviously, your grey, basically pretty much, none. Blue, greater than 1 foot above ground. Yellow, greater than 3 feet above ground. Amber, greater than 6 feet above ground. Red, greater than 9 feet above ground. And black and white lines level area consultant.
Okay.
Obviously, you end up seeing that because you can see on this graphic here these little checkered, little striped areas are the flat areas that need to watch.
Indeed.
In fact, let alone these aren't just the areas that need to watch Harvey very closely. The areas that are pretty much in the warning area, well, in the watch area for now, and in a good radius of Harvey in general, should watch him with extreme caution, because Harvey can pretty much do anything at this point. Because obviously, early days, he's just being reborn, so to speak, and he could basically do anything. But as far as we get the guarantee so far picture of what Harvey's expected to do, Texas landfall possibly a strong tropical storm, maybe Cat 1 hurricane, as what the models are saying so far.
Okay, let's go back to 92L.
Yes, let's have a look.
Let's
give it some attention, shall we? Once I've got the National Hurricane Center back at the original page, I gotta give this stream some time to catch up.
No, we'll wait with it.
Oh, right out with it! Yay! So, now going on to the 5-day forecast, here you can see, obviously, which one's 92L, I wonder. So here's 92L, where it's expected to
Oh, they've
move.
put that right down. It was 40% earlier, wasn't it? 5 days.
5 days, yeah. There pretty much has halved within the last couple of days or so. Any development should be slow to occur while it drifts northward over Florida and adjacent waters thereafter. Some tropical or subtropical development is possible over the weekend when the system begins to move northeastward over the western Atlantic before it merges with the front. Regardless of development, very heavy rain and flooding is possible over portions of the Florida Peninsula during the next few days. Please refer to products from your local National Weather Service office for more information on the system. Obviously, 48 hours formation chance, low 10%. 5 days is also low with 20%.
David, your thoughts?
Craig, can you bring up the tracks on 92L on the Tropical Tidbits website?
As far as I know, no more predicted to develop unless there's one. I think H-Bond said tried to end it something, or HWR something like that. Get a wider view of the Atlantic for. So I was already on it.
There's one model saying a Cat 1.
That's absurd.
But if you bring up the tracks on 92L...
Oh, you mean intensity guidance?
Well, we could look at that one, but I'm interested in the difference in the various tracks. And
do note, before anyone sees these intensity guidances, some of these are statistical models. You know what to do, really. Actually, while I shot this up, we might actually have a look once the page fully loads at the intensity guidance for Harvey, just to see what's the general intensity for Harvey. So this should be the recent one, 18Z. I think was that 23? Yeah, 23. So this is the day. 18Z for today. Some models are saying tropical storm. Good deal of them are expecting tropical storm and then just to drop off a cliff. I think these are ones that are.
That's called Landfall, Craig.
Yeah, called west. Just to go westward instead of what the NHC is expecting it to do. Some of them are sitting a small gathering of models are saying.
Well, one thing that we can't ignore on that imagery, Craig, is that none of them have a. Well, not really any of them have a quick weakening trend after landfall. Most of them have it as a tropical storm for the best part of another 24 hours and then only just lower than tropical storm intensity afterwards on that consensus.
Yeah. And then what looks like towards the ends of some of the ones that they have it trying to make a comeback, but that's it just leveled off. So I don't know what happened. Well, we don't know what would happen after that. So that's Harvey's general intensity guidance.
You look at most of those that said hurricane status. I don't think any of them were realistic.
I don't think these were updated when before Harvey formed. So I think these were ones that were before Harvey was redesignated. So those might be outdated by a little bit. So we'll need to wait on the next update. Oh, there's the thing that was called Kenneth. Let's just ignore that. You know what's funny? I literally forgot that thing was alive.
Yep, Kenneth is still alive.
Just to put it out there, folks, it's still going. There's Hato,
which is also still alive. Just.
So here's the intensity
but
guidance.
But the Joint Typhoon Warning Center only ever issues the final warning as soon as it makes landfall, which I think is a bit silly, even when it's strong.
A bit daft, to be honest, because something absurd could happen. To be honest, I don't really see that happening. But well, to be honest, it already has happened. It's formed an eye wall over land. So here you go.
Now, hardly any of these models are normal models. They're all statistical models.
Yes.
So you can't read anything into hardly any of those.
Yeah, so pretty much the main models that you would normally see on there aren't there. So
that's put Craig into a little bit of a predicament.
So pretty much the models that you would normally look at aren't there. So these ones, as Nathan said, are pretty much statistical models. They are the ones that are literally doolally. Well, then again, some of the models we have to cope with today are doolally. But let's not go into detail. But pretty much, as Nathan said, these are statistical models. Even the ship, my models, GFS and co, aren't there. They pretty much don't expect this to develop at all. To be honest, I would pretty much agree with them that this might not form. But then again, stranger things have happened. We've seen storms that weren't supposed to form. They have formed and become, named storms. But to be honest, all in all, realistically, I don't really expect this thing to do anything.
Right.
Maybe because flooding in Florida is the end, because the convection that it's generating.
Anyway, hey, we've got an interesting question here. Does the fact that Harvey is currently stationary suggest that landfall will be trending east or west? Now, if anything, that would favour east, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying east and northeast. But I would like to say this. Craig, you saw on Tropical Tidbits, I want you to go back to the ECMWF ensemble. Because that model run is indicating it's not going to go inland that far. It's going to skirt along the coast up into Louisiana.
Let's have a look, shall we?
ECMWF ensemble.
Is that this one?
It's only out 126 hours. I think it's 126.
Yeah, because this is the only one that does the 240 hours is the normal ECMWF does. So there's Harvey. You can see him in the blue Gulf of Mexico. Then, well, basically pretty much vanishes. I don't know whether there's any other settings there.
Didn't show much.
Actually,
That's an ensemble average, is it?
No, that's not the one. Try the pressure one.
That's the normal one.
Right.
That's the normal one, Dave.
See if we can try and get this. That big high pressure there near the Azores.
Let's actually try other ones, shall we? Low level dynamics.
What about the one underneath ensemble? That would be helpful indeed.
Yes, obviously that. Right, so here's one of the ensembles. One of the ones that actually tries to show Harvey. I'd imagine this is one of the GFS ensembles. Just gotta zero this, because for some weird reason it starts well into 100 hours.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Which is why most of the time I just have to zero it, just to put it back to the beginning.
Yeah, I've lost it too.
No,
it's there. Viewers,
No,
I'm
you
operating
see
two
it? No, you
computers.
don't.
So, I've lost it.
I'm
It's here.
operating one.
I'm operating
It's here.
3.
I know you are.
Damn. And we think Nathan, we think we've got it hard. Nathan's trying to
Because
operate 3.
technically my phone is a computer as well.
Oh, you're operating. Oh, no, yeah, never mind. Okay. Never mind. So 24 hours out, once the entire model run loads.
Right, have we finally got there yet?
It's not loaded
No.
quick enough. Come on.
Let's just see what this one shows.
In my
Is it
browser,
Another
it's not
model,
loaded
right,
up fully. Come on. God damn it.
I mean, at this rate, we're going to have to go to a break.
There we go. Okay, so finally it loads. Jesus, Windows XP is faster than this.
Oh, yeah.
That's an insult to a computer model.
We could have a
God.
technological discussion later.
Yeah, let's just leave that under a B. So here's what one of the ensembles thinks for Harvey. So they pretty much agree with most of the models. They expect a Texan landfall near this exact same area.
Not far in
chaos.
to land, though. Keep going.
Not far, and then it. Oh,
Weakening.
dear.
And
Stalls.
yeah,
It's literally stalled
that's
twice. Yeah, that's pretty
comes up
bad.
to
And
Louisiana.
it's back on the Gulf and slowly moving. Oh, and then dies.
bad.
No, that's not the
But
one.
I'd imagine whatever's left of it. Then I'd imagine whatever's left of it just goes up.
Well, David,
goes
you'll
over,
have to find it and either
States.
show it on your screen or
Yes.
hand Craig the link there.
Because I'd imagine, well, if that's not it, then this has got to be the last one. The GEPS has got to be it. If that's not it,
Well, we'll take a look at it after
'Cause,
the break.
yes, let's take a break.
Because
Let's
that
get our
might give you a little bit of
technicalities
time
sorted.
to get your software in order, hey?
Oh, my software is in order. It's just
really slow.
It's just the load speed. Damn it!
And now it's
It's not
clogging
my
up
fault. I
your,
can't do anything about it.
now
Come on.
it's clogging up your thingy. Your
Oh, what?
goodness, my vocabulary is gone. It's run off. Well, anyway, whatever. We'll have more on tropical depression Harvey at the top of the next hour with myself, Nathan Foy, and the Skype team. Hurricane watches are in effect. Stay tuned for more. Our live coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk at your service at any time. You can also find us on YouTube, the channel, search Force 13, all in text, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find us on Facebook at Force 13, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter, that's the handle to contact us there. You can also add Fool 13 on Skype, that's F